We couldn't survive without money. So why should we feel bad about talking about it?
But they also create the story when there might not be that drama or necessary. And like maybe they should be saying, thank God I don't have that drama or that need in my life.
I actually went through those things and I'm pretty proud of where I'm at today.
Welcome to Keep Hustling with. Welcome to Keep Hustling, where we are going past the why to get to the how. I'm your host, the always hustling Aaron Gordon, aka NY Risk Advisor, aka Mr. Keep Hustling. In this podcast, we will be diving deep into the professional and personal successes of our guests to find out how they hustled through the most difficult times in their life and their development to achieve the success they've gotten to today. So buckle up for what hopes to be an amazing ride. And of course, now and always, keep hustling. Welcome to Keep Hustling with my guest, Mel C. Mel, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, my honor. I'm glad we could connect.
The usual opening bit has to do with me being from New York and my guest being from somewhere that's not, and much less entertaining and much less fun. But we're going to do a little generational challenge. Let's see if we can get in the comments for our loyal listeners. When you hear the word Mel C, the first thing that we thought of was, or at least I thought of, was kind of like Mel B. If you get the Mel B reference, give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, tell us where you get the reference from. If not, that means you're a late millennial or Gen Z and you missed out on probably the greatest era of pop music having to do with boy and girl bands, and you have no idea what you missed out in your childhood. How'd I do for that for an intro?
Perfect.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Live in a world where I am blessed to work with and for my mother every single day. She is a major, I don't know how many figures, but she's just, I wouldn't call her a chick because she's my mom and she rocks. You know what I mean? And like, it would just be weird to call my mom a chick. She doesn't listen anyway, so I don't really have to worry about it. But I find it interesting that we still live in a world where there needs to be a differentiation between the rise to success of males and female. And I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying you're incorrect. I'm just saying, like, my mother grew up in an industry where she talks about in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, you know, what she faced being in the insurance industry that was literally a white male business and it was pale, stale, and male. And now thankfully we're changing that. But I wonder where your view of things comes from, and that rise being the six-figure chick, inspiring six-figure chicks, and so on and so forth. I love the branding. I love the pink. Everyone should be just watching this. See the book, like the whole deal. We're going to get into it. Is the chair pink or is it white? I can't really tell. It looks like a baby pink. Oh, it looks sick coming off the shirt. It looks like a little baby pink. So anyway, so I just wondered like kind of where that starts from, because I think a lot of people have those ideas or dreams of inspiring others to be their best selves. That's what Keep Hustling's about. But a lot of people don't then take the leap and do it.
Yeah, most definitely. So, I mean, I love how you kind of talked about the female male roles, and I created this global movement mainly from a woman's side, like us as women. We have been programmed by what we've grown up with or what we've been given to us by, others of like, don't talk about money, don't talk about your success. Then we go into, well, if I talk about those things, what will other people think about me? How am I going to be judged? So it's like that internal struggle that we have. And we just feel like, gosh, we can't talk about how successful we are because people will think that we are egotistical or bragging. And so that's really where it came from, is like really just being okay with talking about money. I love money. But like
Money
5 years
I'm going
ago,
to say something crazy, wild.
yeah,
Knock people's socks off. Money makes the world go round.
yeah, like we couldn't survive without money. So why should we feel bad about talking about it? Six-figure chicks is definitely more than just the six figures side of things. But, in a male populated industry that some of us are in, to be okay and confident enough to really speak about, hey, where we came from. It wasn't all rainbows and unicorns. We all have those messy middles that we just don't talk about today. And so that's where the books give the platform to women to feel confident about speaking about their success. Tell others about those roadblocks that we've, overcame. And like, it wasn't perfect. We didn't wake up and just be given the success that we have now.
I'll tell you something unbelievable. So this is your episode is going to be somewhere in the late 130s to the early 140s of the Keep Hustling podcast. Every single week, we have not missed a week in almost 3 years. And I actively solicit guests because I believe that what makes this podcast great is the diverse nature of our guests. And it is hard, even today, to find females who want to come on and talk about their journey or talk about their success. And by the way, I don't think it has anything to do. There's this weird. I'm from New York, so sometimes I ask things incorrectly. So this may come out incorrectly, but there's this weird dichotomy or tension between the idea of we want to be like everyone else and we're the same, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
But also the journey is different. So like, how do you hour to talk about the things that are unique and the struggles that are unique, not necessarily bad, versus the struggles that are versus like, hey, what do you mean? It's no big deal. We're just like everyone else. The path of entrepreneurship in 2026 should be the same, and therefore, what do we need to talk about it so much anymore? Or why do we need to feel empowered in a world where there's a level of equality that our great grandparents, grandmother specifically, would have dreamed of?
Yeah. And there are like two folds to that, because I talk to so many women every day about their story. And there are, like you said, people that have really gone through a lot of downs to get to where they're at today. Like, but then there are some women that are like, gosh, my story isn't that exciting. Like, I grew up, I went to school, check the boxes kind of thing. And I'm like, that's the amazing part about all of us and all of our stories, is that the readers, the people you meet, are going to connect with you because of what you went through and who you are today. No matter if it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you went through all that and look at where you're at today. Or, wow, you really went through the pathways to get to where you're at. I want to be just like that. Or I wish I could do those things. So it's like, it doesn't really matter how tragic your story was to get to.
By the way, I think that there's something super interesting in the non-tragic, like
Yeah.
like the super successful. Okay, we're gonna get into one of my other favorite things to talk about, the royal family, because I really wish I was British. I'm not gonna do my British accent because someone told me that that's forbidden on all public forums now. But like the irony of the Prince William being the stereotypical perfect prince next in line to the throne versus Harry, there's something more. Everybody loves talking about Harry's story, but there's also something super interesting. And then we talk about in the business world of the people who just stay the course, but are able to have that individualism, who don't fight the tide, but kind of go with it. And those to me are also interesting because it's like, how many people screw it up, or how many people mess it up, or how many people. And then, by the way, I say to people all the time, tell me what your parents told you, because as a parent, or someone who's second generation of business, who's building a business, continue to build a business, like, I want to do what they did. I want to empower individuality, but also, kind of maintain legacy. So I just think it's interesting because so many people either fight the story, which isn't great, like you should embrace it, but they also create the story when there might not be that drama or necessary, and like maybe they should be saying, thank God I don't have that drama or that need in my life.
Yeah. And I mean, like, for either way, it's just important to, own what you have gone through and what you built. Like, just yesterday, I was looking through some old images, and I looked at my very first vision board that I did when I was 28 ish. Like, when they say it's really powerful with putting the images and or words that you really want in your life. Like, I want a new car. So that's what I put on my vision board. But I looked at this vision board, and it was a lot of just different things because I was at that age of working 9 to 5 in the corporate world. I put inspire people on that vision board. And I looked at that going, I don't think that I realized how powerful those two words were at that time in my life.
It's gutsy. It's a gutsy thing to think about.
Yeah.
And by the way, what I would say, what's interesting is that there were had you shown it to some people, especially those who may have been more senior than you in the world, they would have been like the audacity,
Hmm. Yeah,
the
like,
ego.
oh, what are you gonna do?
But what's interesting is, and I want to talk about vision because I want to talk about your other work as well. But the the you didn't say that you were inspiring people then, and I think that there's a difference between what we know we can do now and what we achieve to do in the future vision.
Hmm. Exactly, because I look at it now, going, I work on inspiring others. I help others, full circle, inspire others through storytelling and or, you know, business scaling. Those things, I can look at those two words much differently than I did when I put them on that paper.
Love that.
Um, and that's, just pretty amazing in itself of like, wow, okay, I knew
But yet
something.
the seed, but it shows that the seed was there, and that's what's
Yeah.
incredible. Is that like, I one of the other things I like to tell people, they call me because of the podcast, and they're like, hey, what are the things you learn from the stories? Which I'm definitely going to ask you about. But like, nobody remembers the things that you wanted to do that you may have drifted off of. But it's really, and that's okay. And keep hustling is, and say this all the time. It's not about hustling to the death, and it's not standard hustle culture. It's really about evolving and re-evolving the hustle and the mindset and the persistence. But like, even on a person's personal impact on themselves, it is so much more powerful to look back at that first vision board and see the things that you accomplished. And you almost, I bet you didn't even notice the things that you didn't accomplish. It's almost like those things just fell off the page. And yet this crazy thing, like inspiring others, like who am I? What was I even thinking when I said that? And now you're doing it. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, no, it's amazing what we can, put out there for ourselves and attain, the massive, hairy, audacious goals.
Yeah. So, and I want to talk about goals or visions for a second. Your work also in the nonprofit world is about helping others share their journeys, and that's really what this podcast is about. That's really what the Keep Hustling movement is about. It's about realizing that everybody has a story to tell, and everybody's story can inspire others. Some greater than others, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna. I always read something from the. Mel collaborates with authors to transform personal journeys into published works of resilience and impact. So I want to start by asking, why do you think it's important for everyone to document and think about their personal journey, and how does that help them after they do that?
Yeah. Let me take you back to the first book that was launched in 22. Um, I was at a business mastermind. We brought in a publicist. She's like, the easiest, quickest way to become an author is to do a book collaboration anthology. Clients had done it in the past. I knew about it in the marketing and that side of things. So I was like, okay, sign me up. I'm going to do my first book. And so we did the book, and it was more about bringing together people and sharing our stories, but using it as a marketing tool. And so that's where my mind was then. And then as the time progressed, and I said, okay, well, I have something really um, pretty amazing in the name, the brand colors, everything together was like pretty powerful. So I continued on. We started market location books. And then that's when I really took a step back and saw what the authors were going through. So the transformation of putting pen to paper, I saw in every single one of those authors was amazing. That's the part that I love because they come in, they think, oh, this is going to be so fun. I'm going to write my story. I'm going to do, like, they have all these different thoughts of being a part of a community of authors, the nonprofit now, and then the marketing side. But then once they write down their story that they have not talked about in a really long time, or most of their family doesn't even know about this part of their time. So that then writing it down, getting published, having the whole world read their story. That's the real transformation in these authors going, oh my God, I can't believe I actually went through those things. And I'm pretty proud of where I'm at today. or my children never knew this part about me. So that's the real raw.
And I never would have been able to get it to my children or to get it to the if I didn't sit down and do it in this form and like actually work at it because you forget things or things where it's hard to concretize until you go through that. It's almost like anyone who wants to be a therapist, they say should be in therapy type of a thing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like these books will be in the hands of their grandchildren well after they're gone. Like, this is forever in print. Their story is living, breathing inside of a book somewhere in someone's hands that they may never meet. But their story, their journey, and their tactical, practical content will help shape somebody's life that they will never know. And that's the magical part of it.
How many have you done? How many people have you worked with on
So,
this project?
yeah, we have launched 9 international best-selling books and continuing on. So my main goal was to launch at least one book in every state. Since I'm in Arizona, I kind of got stuck here. It's not a bad stuck, but we've
Oh, it's a
launched.
bad stuck. I'm from New York. You set it up, bam! I hit that one right out the park. Come to a real city like New York, you'll have no problems. I'm just
But
kidding. We have
so
plenty
we've
of
done
problems.
4 in Arizona. We're launching our 4th one in Houston. Now we're going to the other states. We just brought on the first international author from Calgary. So, I am expanding. I want these books to be in other countries, other languages. Like, why not share our expertise, our knowledge, our journeys to help other people?
What is the biggest lesson you've learned from those who have been successful in that in telling their story? Like, is there an underlying theme of those who and success? We spoke about money before, but I'm less concerned about the financial success and more of the. I assume that the most successful people or the most impactful people that you've worked with on this project have been the ones who, when they're done reflecting, when they're looking back, when they're having that level of introspection, they leave with a greater sense of being and drive and hustle than
Yeah.
they did before. So, what have you seen that either have made those people, the people you've worked with, successful in those endeavors, or not?
Yeah. The best part about it is just seeing that increased confidence from the authors. Like, these women are they own 7-figure businesses and super successful, have been at this for years and years, but then when they walk away with their international best-selling author title and a book and people know their story, they walk into a room with their head held a little higher, more confident. And that's not a bad thing. Like, we should all be confident and celebrate our wins, not in a, I'm better than you, but instead of something that if we share it, other people will understand and know that it's okay for them to be confident in what they're creating as well. That's the best part about it, is like seeing that huge smile on these authors' faces going, wow, I did that.
And it's amazing because you're saying that most of them come in successful to begin with. So it's a different uh, lane of success or different type of successful feeling.
Yeah, just really owning their story and not being afraid of being judged by other people with talking about that.
Do you think that everyone should own their story?
Oh, yeah. Like, don't you own your story?
Well, I'm an identical twin, so most of my story has been stolen by someone who has the same personality as me and only gave me 4 minutes of peace in the world. I'm just kidding. I love you, Daniel. He doesn't listen anyway. It's fine. But no, yeah, I think that, and that's why I'm doing this podcast because I think that everyone does have a story to tell, and everyone. What's interesting is I think the traditional thought was the only reason to share a story is to inspire others, right? Because why else would I write a book, right? And what you're saying is obviously international best-selling works are awesome. I'm not saying they shouldn't be,
Yeah.
but there's also something to the impact. It's like the first person you must lead is yourself, and I think that the first person or the person you have the greatest impact on is yourself, and then those around you will obviously follow. Because if you're living successfully or your best life or you level up a little bit, then I think you'll see more success for yourself and others around you.
Yeah, and it's all about the community. So we have 130 plus authors so far, which will be doubling every year. For the women that come into this process, they know that they are surrounded by like-minded women, all going for the same levels of growth. You know, leveling up the marketing side, the forever legacy, the impact in their communities. There's so many options and opportunities for these women. But once they get in it and really see everything that comes with it, that's when they're like, okay, wow, this is like none other.
So, what is the most important piece of action that someone can take on their? You talk a lot about, you know, actionable items and action steps. People who are feeling stuck or not sure that they can concretize the story or not sure that they can leverage their own life experience. Where do they start? What's the first action item or the first two, other than reaching out to you, which we're going to put in the show
Yeah,
notes?
of course. That's the first thing I would say.
If you haven't yet, you should have put this on pause and reached out to Mel
I
C.
mean,
Just don't confuse her with Mel B, because that you'll get a. I don't want to say a less entertaining response, because I don't know, but different vibe.
yeah. So, I mean, the actionable take, I would say, for anyone doing anything or thinking about doing something is to ask. Like, if you're not sure if your story is worth it or how to go about it, like, seek information, expertise from others. Like, put yourself in rooms with people smarter, more successful than you, and start asking questions. The worst thing somebody can tell you is no.
I I have often said I think on this podcast and certainly in other forums that I was once in the car with a multiple billionaire. He's
Mm.
now worth north of $20 billion, and I was a little kid in the insurance business. He's 3 times my age at the time, and I asked him if I could work on his insurance. I'm in the back of the car, and he said, "No, that's never going to happen. I have a 40-year relationship." And by the way, someone in my business, that's the best thing you can hear, because I, if I want people to have a relationship and respect me and respect our relationship and the advice that we give them, so too I would hope that I'm okay with them saying that they're being treated well by others. And then immediately, like I was in this moment of, oh God, like I'm an idiot. So I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And he's like, he went nuts. Like that was the angering thing. The trigger was not asking. The trigger was apologizing. Do you think I would have made? Do you think I'd be as successful as I am if I didn't ask people for their business? You think you have a wife and children. You have bills to pay. You're building a career. You're building a business. If you don't ask, you're not going to get anywhere. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that you should be disrespectful post ask and all of that goes with it. But
Mhm.
that first ask, anybody who respects themselves will respect you for at least making the ask. And if
Yeah.
they don't, by the way, probably, and you've met more people like this than I have. If they don't, and if they're offended by your ask for their advice and their help, probably not someone you want to hang out with long term.
You got it. That's it. Exactly. And then you just got to be like, okay, thanks,
And
and
take what they
walk
say to
away.
heart. But I'm just saying, you're right. I think that there's so many people who are scared to make the ask, and had they, it's almost like if you would put the video forward 20 minutes, 9 times out of 10, they'd probably come out. Even if the answer is no, right? Isn't a quick no also a good piece of data to have if you're making a life decision?
Yeah. Are you saying if it's a quick no from the person you're asking?
I'm saying if a person tells you who's an expert, like that is a terrible idea and here's why, you
Hmm.
just saved yourself a lot of pain potentially
Yeah.
down the road.
Yeah. Like, be gracious. Always say thank you. Like, thank you. And then take whatever you can from their responses, those golden nuggets, and be able to walk away with some sort of new insight of like, okay, like, why did they say this? Or, uh, everyone has a different mindset and idealism. Like, it could have been something that I could pull something away from that conversation or not and be like, okay, well, next. Um, but it's also challenging for us to ask for support or guidance, especially as we get older, because we think, oh gosh, what are people going to think about me? Are they going to think I'm not smart enough, or I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I say that because I've gone through those experiences. Still to this day, I have to remind myself it's okay. I don't have to know everything.
But aren't those the greatest and most empowering moments? Or the strongest people are those that know what they know and know what they don't know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And, those who don't ask are usually, you don't know what you don't know. And until you ask, you have no idea what your potential is.
I love that. What do we miss?
Mm.
What do we miss so far? Other than your, tell me about the book. I wanted the book over your shoulders because I'm a guy who lives my life in orange from the Keep Hustling podcast. People tell me I have
Uh-huh.
too much orange clothing, and I'm envisioning your closet after like looking at you, and I'm like, this is probably awesome. Although, or maybe it's just like a podcast sweater that you leave behind your chair. But I'm envisioning something totally different. I'm envisioning like a bunch of pink shoes also. So what do we miss?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was at an event last night and I didn't have pink on. And that's usually the first thing that people tell me is like, oh, where's your pink? I'm like, well, I can't wear pink every day. My closet, though, is, 50% pink. The
You are your
rest is
brand.
black and white.
You are your brand.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's important to carry yourself memorable. So when I leave a room, people will remember me because I stand out. I stand above a crowded marketplace. I own my expertise and my brand, and I love it. It's
Yeah,
not
I think
something that I
it's
just have
funny.
to do.
This is a little bit of a self journey piece here, but when I embraced the brand and the personality, it's the people who make fun or joke about it. I don't I, I don't want to say are jealous, but it's like it was much worse being the suit and tie guy in the insurance industry. Now I'm the guy who wears the custom shoes and literally everything is NY Risk and my actual license plates. And there's no better thing than when someone who like in the professional world actually sees my license plate, like randomly, like, oh my, you really? I'm like, yeah. And what? It's a license plate. It's 6 or 7 digits in New York State. Let's have some fun. So I agree with that, and I think that everyone should embrace it, and maybe that's how then they'll be inspired to share their story or to share their journey because they'll realize that that's what's unique about them, and others really will see value in it.
Yeah, most definitely. And I love seeing the authors post book launches that are showing up online on a regular basis that are, sharing their knowledge more confidently because of this little book that has kind of opened them up to feel okay with sharing more with others. And yeah, and with that, so we go through the process. It is unlike any other anthology out there. I've been a part of many others by other authors. We do the ebook launch. We record everyone's chapter in their own voices. So the Audible has
I love
every
that.
single chapter in the author's voice. And then we do a paperback book launch. Like, we do all of these things to always be launching.
Love that. As you know, Mel C, we have a closing tradition on this podcast where we ask our guests to leave us with their favorite motivational, inspirational quote and what it means to them and to their journey. So with that, I'm going to say thank you again for everything you do. Thank you for being here. Thank you for rescheduling. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for hustling with me. And the floor is yours.
All right. Together we rise. Together we change lives.
Absolutely love that. And that is Keep Hustling. This has been another episode of Keep Hustling. Remember, do well by doing good. And of course, and always, like Mel C and Mel B, keep hustling. All right, hustlers, that brings us to the end of another fantastic episode. Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. If you have any suggestions, comments, or even just want to say hello, please feel free to reach out to us on all social media platforms. We are Keep Hustling Pod. Until next time, stay curious, stay hungry, and keep hustling.